It is possible that when someone's egocentric attitude bothers you, your own ego is being triggered in some way. Let me explain it in more detail. Our emotional reaction to others' behavior can be an indication of how our own ego is being affected. When someone displays an egocentric attitude, it can evoke feelings of irritation, anger, or even inferiority in us. These emotional reactions often stem from our own ego, feeling challenged, threatened, or insecure. For example, if someone shows arrogance or superiority, it can make you feel less valuable or devalued, which is a selfish response. If you feel offended or frustrated by someone's egocentric attitude, your own ego may be reacting in defense. However, it is important to note that recognizing and feeling this discomfort does not necessarily mean you are acting from a place of negative ego. The key lies in how you respond to that initial reaction. You can choose to be aware of your emotions, examine your own insecurities or thought patterns that may be contributing to that reaction, and then choose a more compassionate and balanced response. Instead of giving in to the selfish impulse to respond with anger or resentment, you can try to empathize with the other person and understand that their egocentric behavior may be based on their own insecurities or unmet needs. Practicing compassion and forgiveness, both towards others and yourself, can help free you from the constraints of the ego and respond from a higher place. Remember that working on your own ego is a continuous process that requires constant practice and self-reflection. By being aware of your own reactions and working to cultivate a more compassionate and detached mindset, you can free yourself from the limitations of the ego and promote greater personal and spiritual growth. If you are a seeker of knowledge, we invite you to join our community and be a part of it. Together, we can explore the mysteries of the world and acquire knowledge that helps us grow and develop. Welcome to the Apprentice channel. Let's continue. The ego is a complex and widely discussed concept in various philosophical and psychological traditions. I can offer you some reflections on the ego and how it relates to the process of human perfection. However, please note that my perspective is general and may not reflect the opinions of any particular organization. The ego refers to the part of our identity based on the perception of ourselves as individual and separate beings. It is the internal voice that tells us who we are, what our strengths and weaknesses are, and how we compare to others. Although the ego plays a significant role in our everyday life, it can become an obstacle to our personal and spiritual growth when it becomes disproportionately inflated or dominant. In spiritual pursuits, individual development is encouraged through symbolism and rituals. One fundamental principle of initiatic orders is the pursuit of truth and self-knowledge. As apprentices progress through the degrees, they are expected to gain a deeper understanding of themselves and their relationship with the surrounding world. This involves a process of self-discovery and humility, where preconceived ideas are questioned and efforts are made to overcome egoistic aspects of the personality. However, it is important to recognize that initiatic orders and schools of human perfection are not exempt from the presence of the ego. Like any human institution, there may be individuals in higher degrees who manifest a significant ego. This can be due to various reasons, such as the pursuit of power, the desire for social recognition, or a lack of genuine commitment to the spiritual principles of the awakening process. For example, in Masonic workshops, the essence is to foster brotherhood, equality, and tolerance among members. Humility is considered an important virtue on the spiritual path, involving recognizing one's limitations and being willing to learn from others. Through the practice of values and the cultivation of humility, Apprentices are expected to overcome egoistic aspects of their personality and work for the benefit of humanity. It is regrettable and contradictory that some individuals in higher degrees of Freemasonry or other schools of human perfection adopt arrogant or condescending behaviors towards profanes or even towards other brothers in the pursuit. Such attitudes go against the fundamental principles of fraternity, equality, and tolerance that the order promotes. It is important to remember that Freemasonry is an institution composed of human beings and, as such, is subject to the imperfections and weaknesses inherent in our human condition. When the ego is not properly recognized and managed, it can manifest in the form of superiority, arrogance, or condescending attitudes. These behaviors not only contradict the values, but also undermine the essence of the search for truth and moral perfection. The regalia has profound symbolic meaning and should be used with respect and an understanding of its symbolism and purpose within the tradition of the order. Its use should be authentic and reflect personal commitment and dedication to principles, beyond any intention of ostentation or exhibitionism. To address such dissonant behaviors and help those who fall into the trap of spiritual ego, it is essential to promote greater awareness and education about the fundamental principles to be upheld in the pursuit of holistic improvement. It is important to emphasize that individual change and transformation are personal processes and depend on the will and commitment of each individual. No one can be forced to change their behavior, but through education, reflection, and personal example, it is possible to generate greater awareness and encourage attitudes aligned with the principles of the order. Working on your own ego involves recognizing and transcending the limitations and negative patterns associated with it. Here are some suggestions on how to address and work on your own ego. Self-awareness. The first step is to develop greater self-awareness to recognize ego patterns and behaviors in your life. Pay attention to your thoughts, emotions, and actions, and observe if there is any tendency towards arrogance, egocentrism, or the need for external validation. Cultivate humility. Humility is an essential quality for working on the ego. Recognize that you do not have all the answers and that you can learn from others. Practice active listening and show respect and appreciation for the perspectives and experiences of others. Self-inquiry and self-reflection. Examine your underlying beliefs and assumptions about yourself and the world around you. Question narratives that reinforce a sense of superiority or inferiority, and seek a deeper understanding of your true nature beyond egoistic identification. Practice gratitude and service. Cultivate an attitude of gratitude and appreciation for what you have in your life. Recognize and value the contributions and well-being of others. Additionally, look for opportunities to serve and help others without expectations of reward or recognition. Emotional detachment. The ego often relies on personal attachments and desires. Practice emotional detachment by learning to let go of the need for control and attachment to specific outcomes. This allows you to experience greater inner freedom and acceptance of what is. Mindfulness and meditation. Regular practice of mindfulness and meditation can help develop greater awareness and observe ego thoughts and emotions without identifying with them. This allows for a broader perspective and the ability to respond from a place of greater wisdom and compassion. Remember that working on the ego is a continuous process and requires time, patience, and self-discipline. Do not judge yourself harshly if you encounter resistance or setbacks along the way. With consistent practice, you can cultivate greater clarity and free yourself from the limitations of the ego, enabling deeper personal and spiritual growth. The trap of the ego potentially brings the danger of following negative, egocentric, and narcissistic leaders. This is a concerning reality that has occurred at different times and historical contexts. These charismatic leaders can exert significant influence over people, leveraging their charisma and manipulating emotions and beliefs to gain. It is possible that when someone's egocentric attitude bothers you, your own ego is being triggered in some way. Let me explain it in more detail. Our emotional reaction to others' behavior can be an indication of how our own ego is being affected. When someone displays an egocentric attitude, it can evoke feelings of irritation, anger, or even inferiority in us. These emotional reactions often stem from our own ego feeling challenged, threatened, or insecure. For example, if someone shows arrogance or superiority, it can make you feel less valuable or devalued, which is a selfish response. If you feel offended or frustrated by someone's egocentric attitude, your own ego may be reacting in defense. However, it is important to note that recognizing and feeling this discomfort does not necessarily mean you are acting from a place of negative ego. The key lies in how you respond to that initial reaction. You can choose to be aware of your emotions, examine your own insecurities or thought patterns that may be contributing to that reaction, and then choose a more compassionate and balanced response. Instead of giving in to the selfish impulse to respond with anger or resentment, you can try to empathize with the other person and understand that their egocentric behavior may be based on their own insecurities or unmet needs. Practicing compassion and forgiveness, both towards others and yourself, can help free you from the constraints of the ego and respond from a higher place. Remember that working on your own ego is a continuous process that requires constant practice and self-reflection. By being aware of your own reactions and working to cultivate a more compassionate and detached mindset, you can free yourself from the limitations of the ego and promote greater personal and spiritual growth. When followers succumb to a negative leader, various dangers and problems can arise. Some of them include manipulation and control. Negative leaders can use manipulative tactics to control and wield power over their followers. They may promote a mindset of submission and dependency, nullifying people's ability for critical thinking and creating a toxic dynamic of dependence. Abuse of power. Negative leaders often seek to satisfy their own needs and desires without considering the well-being of their followers. They can abuse their position of power to gain personal, physical, emotional, or financial benefits, causing harm and exploitation to those who trust them. Fanaticism and alienation. Following a negative leader can lead to a mentality of fanaticism, where followers defend and justify any action or behavior of the leader, even when morally questionable or harmful. This can lead to alienation from other people and communities, generating divisions and conflicts. Psychological and emotional harm. Negative leaders can have a detrimental impact on the mental and emotional health of their followers. They may promote low self-esteem, insecurity, and emotional dependency, creating an atmosphere of fear and anxiety instead of support and personal growth. It is important to be alert and aware of possible signs of negative leadership. Warning signs may include a lack of transparency, resistance to criticism or questioning, lack of empathy towards others, and the promotion of a sense of superiority or exclusivity. To protect yourself and others from the dangers of following negative leaders, it is crucial to cultivate critical thinking, seek diverse information and perspectives, and trust your own values and discernment. Foster a culture of openness, dialogue, and mutual respect within communities, and promote personal empowerment and autonomy. Remember that it is not wrong to seek spiritual leaders and guides, but it is important to choose wisely, seeking those who promote integrity, respect, compassion, and personal growth rather than satisfying their own ambitions and desires at the expense of others. If you want to delve deeper into this knowledge, there are numerous authors and philosophers who have written about spiritual ego and its role in personal growth and awakening of consciousness. Here are some examples of prominent authors in this field. Eckhart Tolle, known for his book The Power of Now and A New Earth. Tolle explores the idea of the ego and how it can hinder our path to spiritual enlightenment. He proposes techniques to transcend the ego and live in a state of conscious presence. Deepak Chopra, author of numerous books such as The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success and The Book of Secrets. Chopra examines the role of the ego and how it affects our perception of reality and our connection to the divine. He offers practical tools and teachings to overcome the ego and find greater spiritual fulfillment. Dyer, known for books like Your Erroneous Zones and The Power of Intention. Dyer addresses the ego from both a psychological and spiritual perspective, providing approaches to free oneself from the limitations of the ego and connect with true spiritual essence. Ram Dass, author of Be Here Now and The Only Dance There Is. Ram Dass delved deeply into the nature of the ego and its transformation through spiritual practice. He promoted the idea of transcending the ego and connecting with a deeper sense of unity and unconditional love. These are just a few examples, but there are many other authors and teachings that address the topic of spiritual ego from different perspectives. I encourage you to explore their works and discover which resonate with you and provide a deeper understanding of this subject. In summary, the ego can be a challenge on the apprentice's path and in any process of human perfection. Recognizing its presence and working on its transformation is part of the journey of personal and spiritual growth. Schools of human perfection and initiatic schools provide tools and teachings to address this challenge, but individual responsibility and commitment to principles are crucial to achieve it. If you enjoyed this video, we ask for your help in sharing the light of this knowledge by subscribing to our channel, commenting on our content, giving a like, and sharing this video with your friends and family. Thank you again for your support, and remember, your like is our reward. Fraternal greetings, and see you in the next video.